Hello, everyone. We are here again for the Stranger Rings podcast. This time, we are talking about one of the weirdest transitions in character history. We're talking about Sting becoming the Joker in 2011 TNA. I am Corey.
I'm Tom.
And Tom, how do you feel about taking an icon that was once the Crow and having him become another movie/comic book character?
Well, considering the fact that Sting is literally a complete ripoff of the Crow, like literally, I didn't realize how much of it was until I saw videos of the Crow, and it's like literally the exact same character. But Sting makes it his own. I give Sting credit for working with what he was, and I say that I give people credit a lot, but I really do give Sting credit for this. He did a great job with what was given to him.
Yes, he did, for sure. This was a fun Sting, though. Like, this was actually, he's usually a very serious character. So it was nice to see him, like, get to be weird and crazy for a little bit.
Him singing Eye of the Stinger was probably my favorite thing out of all of this.
Yeah, I love how he was. We'll talk about that later, but I love how he's like, Kurt, you remember that? It was early 80s.
Survivor.
Oh,
Love
my
it.
God. So crazy. So this, we're not really talking about any matches here today on the podcast. We used just one match at the end, the main event. We got all our stuff. We didn't go through Impact Plus. We actually went on YouTube, and some guy was nice enough within the last year to compile all the TNA Joker Sting stuff, besides for the matches, but all his like important promos. And that man is Vista Records Board. So shout out to him. Don't know. He has a bunch of random stuff on his channel, but good for him for doing this.
Yes, I'm very happy that he put this in. This is one of my favorite things that I've actually had to watch based off of the way that the video was edited, I should say, because it was so seamless where, I mean, we didn't really mark dates or anything, but it was seamless where the fact you could easily follow the storyline. You cut out all of the unimportant things for the most part. It was really, really good, and I give him all the credit in the world. And I'm going to stop saying that I'm giving people credit, because if I get too many people credit, then there won't be enough credit to go around.
It's true. Yeah, but this guy, shout out to him. Probably will never listen to this, but I'm very happy that he made it. So, without, is there anything else we need to talk about before we jump into Sting's descent into madness?
I wanted to shout out Leslie Jackson, who suggested this topic on Twitter, and he was very excited about it. He loved our TNA show review, the first one. He is a NASCAR fan, but he forgives us for our comments about NASCAR. We appreciate that, Leslie. So shout out to you for suggesting this, because it was very interesting to watch.
So let me go back on the NASCAR thing. Not a fan, again, as I said, if it's your thing, whatever. But I did have a lot of fun playing NASCAR 06 on PS2, because I would drive the other way and purposely wreck the race. So there was, I can't say I have a fond memory of NASCAR for some reason.
I think I'm jealous of NASCAR drivers, because I myself am not a good driver and am also very bad at driving games. So I'm 0 for 2 there.
Yeah, I can't do NASCAR. Need for Speed was my shit for a minute, because you could, race and just get away from people. But yeah, more of a Fast and the Furious guy if we're going to do a car thing.
Love it. I mean, I think that I would love to see an old NASCAR game based off of when NASCAR really started, where you're like running from police and shit. Like, that would be a fun game. Like, well, I mean, that'd be Grand Theft Auto for the most part.
Yeah. But wrecking people is the most fun you're going to have in a NASCAR game. So you just got to make some people spin out.
I just, like I said, I can't enjoy the NASCAR game because I myself am very bad at it. So
it happens. It's a hard game genre to play. But so let's talk about Sting here. This is a kind of weird timing for him to start becoming the Joker, because The Dark Knight came out like 4 years before this. So it kind of had died. The hype had died down. I mean, Heath Ledger, played an iconic role, but they just decided that Sting was going to take that on 4 years after the movie was big, which is
They
weird.
yeah, they always seem to be a little bit late on picking up on like pop culture references. They did a good job with Jersey Shore, introducing the character. They didn't get the characters people cared about, but they at least were timely with it. But I'm thinking like Aces and Eights, where Sons of Anarchy had already like peaked in popularity by the time they did their own Sons of Anarchy stable. But
Yeah.
and I didn't realize how closely they ripped that off with like the president and vice president. And it's really close to the actual show when it comes to the rankings and everything.
I've never watched Sons of Anarchy. I don't know. It has a lot of seasons, so it's quite a commitment at this point.
Yes.
Maybe in the winter, but yeah, I didn't know that they were at least kind of close on that, weren't they? Like it was like maybe 2 years off, like its prime run.
Yeah, it was much closer, and we both love Aces and Eights as an angle, even though most people stopped watching TNA because of it. I started watching TNA again because of Aces and Eights, so they gained at least one viewer.
Is there any better segment for TNA history than when Taz joined Aces and Eights and said, "It's getting hot in here," and just revealed his jacket? Like didn't attack anyone, just decided to say it was hot in there and reveal his leather.
In the middle of a wedding, mind you.
Yeah.
The only thing that rivaled it, I think so, would be seriously Angle headbutting Joe, but the other one would be Ric Flair and Jay Lethal
Yes.
having the woo off. That's about it, though.
Oh yeah, and back to the Jersey Shore thing you were saying. I gotta profess my. That's one of the other things where you're just a fan of wrestlers that aren't actually good. Jesse Goddard could throw a mean drop kick, damn it. So he'll always be in my heart for that.
There are always some guys that have one or two really mean moves, like Mark Jindrak's drop kick, for example. Absolutely brilliant.
Jesse Goddard's, man, he was. I wanted them to push him when they were started dying off. They had no more stars left.
Big brother himself.
Yep. So, all right, let's see. So this is a good time in TNA here. This is like, what is it like? The beginning's like April or May 2011. I want to say.
Yes, around the time that I stopped watching TNA, actually.
It's we're in the middle of Immortal. They have a lot of members, as we're going to talk about here later. Hogan and Bischoff are just going crazy with power, and Sting, being the vigilante that he is, he always got to be the one that takes everyone down. And it starts with Sting fighting the good fight against Mr. Anderson here. And Anderson is he not the champion at the beginning? Sting is, I believe.
Yes, because Sting took the belt off of Jeff Hardy in the most infamous match in TNA history when Jeff Hardy was high or whatever the fuck he was. And the Sting beat him in a minute for the belt. Or either that or he defended the belt and he beat him on Impact. But Sting is the champion walking into this. And I think this is really good, just as a quick mention. This is a great segue from Bound for Glory 2010 that we did back in the day. It took us about a year to get back to it, but we're here. Continuity.
Yeah, so if you make a playlist or something, you got a good year and a half there to go with. So Anderson, it starts this video package that was put together. We're going to start there is where Anderson is impersonating Sting. He's like, and it's not Crow Sting, it's Surfer Sting. Yes. He's got the nice the bedazzled coat and the surfer paint, and Anderson really does pull it off though. Like he does look like a young Sting.
Yes, and he does the thing where he beats his chest too and yells, like absolutely awesome. He already had the hair to match, so Ken Anderson. I love that Taz said, "Is that Ken Anderson? I don't know."
Yeah, he did really look like him. I mean, if Sting wasn't standing right there, I don't know if we would have bought it or not. I can't believe they never had a Sting comeback with the surfer stuff.
Yeah, it was really surprising. I don't know if Sting maybe never wanted to dye his hair blonde or cut it short again, and that's why he didn't do it, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, because he was very successful. I mean, Crow got him the millions, but I mean, he was still super over as the surfer. So
Right.
I don't know. So Anderson is dressed in the blue and yellow Surfer Sting getup, and he turns real Sting around and then attacks him with a bat and yells Anderson over him after he hits him with the Scorpion Death Drop. He just yelled Anderson as he was like down there, which is awesome.
Yeah, you gotta love the catchphrases, and I think Sting ends up ripping off the catchphrase as well a few times throughout this whole build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does. He keeps randomly like I don't know. His descent into madness and ta-ta for now too is the other one.
Can't believe he said that.
Which is funny. Um, so Sting is attacked by Anderson, and then the next segment we see is Sting backstage, and I think this was when they were doing what was the backstage show? Reaction.
That was my favorite.
It was a good idea. Very good idea. So Sting does a little backstage thing with Eric Young and tells I don't get it. The TNA World Champion now.
I was going to say, from one TNA World Champion to another.
Yeah, he's the current day champion. So good for Eric Young. He also got tatted up. His whole back's done. I saw. So
really, I did not know that. He's now the world-class maniac, I'm pretty sure.
Dude, what happened? Not that I should talk, because I am definitely not in the best shape, but Eddie Edwards, man, he went from the Wolves, like he was super small, and now he's like a husky dude.
He is now a Tommy Dreamer cosplay because he started doing a lot of hardcore stuff too. And he teamed with Tommy Dreamer. So Eddie Edwards, he's going to become one of my boys now, because it's like Trevor Murdoch. Once he gained weight, he got better in my eyes.
Yeah, he put on like a good 25 pounds and started wearing a cutoff to the ring, and I'm like, what happened to the Wolves guy? And the Wolves were so good too.
Yes, they were a great tag team before Davey Richards left the business. They had a nice little feud in Impact too. But I actually bought an American Wolves T-shirt back when I was real into Ring of Honor in like 2011, and then they ended up. It's a shame that neither one of them ended up getting into like one of the big two companies, but at least they had Impact.
Oh man, imagine if like 2 years ago, NXT was like when they were big. Like they would have fit so good with like American Alpha and all those kind of people, FTR would have been awesome.
They had a brief stint. They had one match, I think, in NXT, and they botched a few things, so they never got the contract.
Ooh, that's rough.
Sad.
Yeah. So in this short backstage segment, though, Sting tells Eric Young to lay off the comedy. And that's literally it. Like, he just tells him not to fuck around anymore.
And he took it to heart eventually, and it worked out for his career. So shout out to Sting, or Vince Russo using his vessel, Sting's vessel, as advice giving. I listen, I'm a beer in right now, so this is gonna get interesting.
I'm just pounding the water right now.
Yes.
So I was thinking about getting a beer, but it just didn't happen. I'm forgetful. So let's see here. We're going to have to start picking out different beers for this now that we're going to be on camera.
Yes, right now I have the Ellicottville Pumpkinville Latte, which is a very white beer to drink, but it's very good if you like pumpkin ales or stouts.
Pumpkin ale is always good to go, though. It's starting to get fall, season out here. Pumpkin spice is going. But,
it's getting spooky. I'm ready.
Yeah, so you know who else was not somebody that wasn't ready here is Anderson here on Reaction. And he's talking to the cameraman, and he said, Gunner pin Sting, and Gunner's not even good.
That was my favorite line of Anderson's throughout this entire thing. Holy shit. What a line. He's nowhere near as good as Sting, and just the emphasis he put on it was just like, shout out to you burying Gunner, which is now in fashion, as I believe he's Jackson Riker.
I think so. Who would have thought that he'd be still in the business 10 years later?
Right.
In WWE, like in a decent position.
Yeah, wild stuff, man. Gunner never really impressed me a whole lot, but he's got the look, brother.
He does. He's got the tats. He's got the muscles. He's ready to go, and that's right up Vince's alley. So I thought he would have been there in like 2014 when he like first left.
Yeah, it took a while, and then they put him in NXT for a long time too. But Gunner he has a pinfall victory over Sting. Think about that.
Oh God, we
But
live
he's
in a
nowhere
terrible
near.
world.
Yeah, but Anderson imitates Sting's woo and is like talking crap on Sting before he bolts for his trailer when Sting appears.
Yeah, Sting is on the hunt here and attacks Anderson in his trailer and decides that during the beatdown, he throws him on a table and screams, "You want to mock me?" and then starts painting Anderson's face and then he puts him in a sleeper and puts him to sleep.
He gives him that death choke right there where he's like, "Shh, go to sleep, go to sleep."
It's like
Whispered to him. And then one point he's like, "You piece of garbage."
Yeah,
like really softly too.
He really wanted to throw it in there, but he knew he'd get censored.
Man, and one of the best things was it got set up with Sting grabbing the face paint before he even started the beatdown. Like you got the video of him after he got rid of EY. He goes to his bag or whatever, grabs the face paint, and then walks towards Anderson. They cut away. Like I can't tell you how much I loved Reaction as a show, and like I would look forward to it almost as much as I did Impact when I was watching.
Yeah, I think WWE should really jump on something like this. They probably do.
They have Raw Talk and Talking Smack, but that's more like of a sit down, like hosting thing. It's not the backstage promos and angles and all that. So it's disappointing.
It's like a first take or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh God. But, so the next clip we see here is Anderson doing his intro in the middle of the ring. Like, he has the old school mic and everything in the spotlight. And when he goes to say the second Anderson, Sting screams Anderson from behind him into the microphone, which was awesome. That's a great idea.
Yes, and it not only was just normal Sting, but he also had red and black face paint mixed with his white face paint. So he looked a little bit different here. I'm actually looking at a picture of one of his things right now because I have the Joker Sting saga up. But he really looks like it's a totally different look, but to a point where like the makeup is done a little bit haphazardly, where you can tell, okay, something's off with Sting here.
Yeah, and I think right now you're at like an enraged Sting. He's not yet snapped. He's just really angry.
Right.
And this is all that might have been the start to the Slammiversary match they had.
I think it was, because then they cut to Sting going for the victory. I think he had the pin, but then I think Eric Bischoff, of all people, Bischoff is a big player in this storyline, but I think pulls the referee out of the ring, if I remember correctly.
He does something to stop the ref's count. I don't know what it was, like if he ordered him to stop or if he pulled him out. I can't remember.
Right, and the editing was kind of choppy on that, but they didn't really focus on the matches. Like it was more just the fact that Anderson won the belt was the big focus. Somehow he won the belt after Eric Bischoff interfered. So now Sting, who has come back to save TNA from Hogan and Bischoff and the rest of Immortal, is no longer champion. So he doesn't have the power to do so anymore.
Yes, and that is the tipping point for Sting right there, because the next confrontation we see is Hogan in his office when Sting comes in, no face paint, just wearing his sunglasses inside. And
casually.
At the beginning of this is around the time, which is very weird, because Jeff Jarrett was wrestling in AAA a lot. And I think he might have been like the AAA champion.
I think he was.
And Triple H is just like, Jeff Jarrett's the king of Mexico, as Sting walks in randomly, which is just so random.
Yeah, he's the king of Mexico. And then he went to do the Viva La Raza or whatever the hell. Yeah. And Sting interrupted. And I'm like, man, they should have just let him drop it and hopefully do the Eddie Guerrero shimmy when he was doing it.
Oh, my God. The little parts of Jeff Jarrett in this are great. Like, it just because I don't know why. He just like thinks he's very Spanish now because he's been wrestling in AAA.
I absolutely love Jeff Jarrett. We love him on the podcast. He especially now that Cody Rhodes has become Jeff Jarrett Jr. It makes me even happier.
Triple J, Cody Rhodes, he's ready to go.
And we love Cody Rhodes on the podcast too, but it's too good to make fun of.
We do. Did you see that legendary Twitter interaction between him and the guy that said, like, Cody said he didn't believe in mid-card titles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God. And the guy's like, he's like, you follow me, because the guy said, like, that the TNT title was a mid-card title. Yeah. And Cody was like, why do you follow me then? And the guy said, well, you're my favorite mid-carder.
I died when I saw that. And like I said, I love Cody too, but that's one where you just got to tip your cap at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was great. That was legendary. Oh my God. So in this confrontation, this is like the big one. This is what sets everything up. So as soon as Sting comes in, Hulk Hogan is playing the babyface GM role real fast. And he's like, don't worry, you get your rematch for the title. 14th on Spike, you got it. Which is just ridiculous because you think you'd make him chase it a little bit.
Yeah, because Hogan is the big show of TNA where he turns face to heel depending on the segment and the crowd reaction.
That's true. Yeah, he does that a couple times in here. And so Sting... This is where Sting starts to have a heart-to-heart with Hulk Hogan. And he says, is this the real Hulk? Is the real Hulk Hogan back? Is there any honor left inside of you? Oh, he's tugging at the heartstrings.
He was, because Hogan had mentioned their history. He's like, brother, we got a lot of history together. And they name drop. It's like all the stuff we did in WCW because they're not allowed to mention anything about WWF or I'm not Sting was there, but they just they name drop WCW. And Sting asks him if if he said like, you know, all the vitamins and the prayers and everything, was that all just for the money? Which is a good line. I like that.
It is. Yeah. He said that, you know, I don't know. Did he say this is just like WCW? As in, didn't he say like Hogan, you know, came in and he wanted to help and everything, and then like it kind of went sour, just like TNA?
Yeah, I think he might have made that comparison. There was a lot going on here, so it was tough to catch everything because this was like a good 5-minute segment, which was strange for a backstage one, but I loved the way that it was filmed, where it was like hidden camera version. We all know Hogan's history with hidden cameras too, so you got to be careful.
yeah, you definitely do. You don't know what's gonna happen there. But Sting,
later in this storyline as well.
Yeah,
hidden camera comes into play, but
it's true. He must have been at the good old Sponge's house there when he was talking to Eric Bischoff. But Sting drops some great lines in a lot of these promos because he's like, is this the legacy you want to leave behind? And then he says, is this the legacy you want to leave for Brooke and Nick? And that, you know, once you bring the kids into it, Hulk is going to get up and gingerly walk over to you and punch you.
He yelled, stop it, that's enough. And then who do you think you are? And he was going off on him, and Sting just completely interrupts him and yells, I'm the Stinger.
Yeah, he yells, I'm the Stinger, and I'm not done yet. And just like he says something like, he literally goes mad at the end of this, and he's like,
yep.
What the hell does he say? He starts to act crazy, and he's like, I can help you, you know, with this mask that you're trying to put on, Hogan. And he does the whole face paint. And while he's doing it, he has the crazy laugh.
Yeah. So. He rubs that red face paint literally all over his face. And that would probably be a pain to get off afterwards, too, because he got it like almost up in his eyes and everything, like all over. So Hogan, I like the idea where, like, you know, and Sting is yelling, make the choice, and then laughing maniacally, like, make the choice. Like, I thought that even though I had a lot of issues with how Sting was presented in this storyline, I loved the intro to this where it made sense why he's starting to lose his mind.
Yeah, everything does make sense. I mean, it got silly, but everything that
Right.
he is fighting for makes sense, and you could kind of understand
Right.
why he's like going crazy because he's been here before. It's like a
Right.
bad case of deja vu for Sting.
It is, and it shows its continuity from the past year where Sting was originally a heel because he didn't trust Hogan. And then it turned out that he was right all along. It was him, Sting. It was him all along.
It was.
So,
It was the higher power. And yeah, when he's yelling, make the choice, like he's like, Hogan, you could change this, make the choice. He does the maniacal laugh and he's like, this is good. This is
yeah.
good. And just like storms out. So Sting has the last time we saw him in face paint, it started to change a little bit, but now this next in-ring segment with Bischoff the next week is where we start to see the unraveling of Sting, and he shows it in his face paint as it starts to change throughout this.
Yes. The next Impact opens with Eric Bischoff, who immediately is very, very angry, and he calls Sting an ungrateful son of a bitch.
Dude,
And
he's such a good heel though, too.
he was like Bischoff is so easily dislikable, his character.
Exactly. He's like what Bischoff said about Buff Bagwell. Like nobody just wants to go up to him and like think he's a happy person. Like
Right.
he's just always a heel.
There's something in Bischoff's character, like his character, not saying that he's like this is a real person, but that's inherently sleazy. Like the way he just comes off, especially with that smile and everything, like he is a used car salesman.
Yeah, he's got the con man smile, like he really does.
Right.
Like
And
you know he's gonna somehow fuck you around here.
right. But Sting comes out to interrupt, and he gets a very, we'll say, sweetened pop because a lot of these like crowd reactions you could tell were maybe filmed in post because like they were really loud in some manners, at some points I should say, and then in other points you could tell it was like unnaturally loud.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely you could tell which impacts were live.
Right, and which ones were fake and Sting, or not fake, I should say pre-taped. But Sting has the red, as you mentioned before, he's got the red face paint near his eyes. And one of the things that I loved about the face paint was he had the like marionette lines, like the black lines going from his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and where he almost looked like he could be a puppet. And I'm like I hope that was intentional and it's not just me looking too far into it because that would be a really cool detail.
Yeah, that was the first time he did like not like the skinny lines anymore. Like he had like the big parts
Right.
coming off his mouth. So
Right.
so he definitely changes up his look here and really his attitude because as we see here, he's just gonna put hands on Bischoff and doesn't even care.
Right. And Bischoff is first really, really like angry with him. Again, he calls him ungrateful son of a bitch. He calls him a coward for sneaking into his office and for like attacking Hogan. And he said, which was a great line, "Do you think I don't watch my own show that I star in, that I produce?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's pretty good because most of the time, like if there's sneaky things going on TV, like I'm just thinking Batista with Triple H and Ric Flair when they were talking about like making Batista go to SmackDown to face JBL,
Mm-hmm.
where they had to have Batista sitting in and hearing their plan. Like instead of him just watching TV and realizing, oh hey, this is what's actually going on here. I like TNA's view of that. Like their production with Bischoff was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that he does watch his own show. So Sting throughout this is just making these weird like facial expressions, and when he finally starts to talk, he just sounds so weird. Like he's changed his voice, and he says his feelings are hurt. And but then he shifts and says that Sting Sting says he's gonna snap Eric Bischoff's scrawny little neck, and
Yep.
that's exactly what he's gonna do.
And he gives him about 20 different insults beforehand. He's like, "You're a liar, you're a cancer," and they all pretty much meant the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
it was
con artist, scum,
yeah,
disease.
scum of the earth. Yeah, it was just over and over again where it's like, Sting, buddy, we get it. but he makes his his motivations clear that he wanted to free Hulk Hogan from the manipulations of Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, and you know what? Going back now and listening to some of the Bischoff stuff, he literally did like run Hogan's life during this time because Hogan had, I think, shortly after this, well, his marriage had been falling apart at this point, I believe.
Right.
He said his back surgeries had made it to the point where like he didn't want to, like he couldn't get comfortable no matter what he was doing. He wasn't able to sleep. Like, you know, he was, I believe he was taking a lot of pain pills and everything. And Bish was like,
Right.
I think he said something on one of his shows. They like pretty much put all the Hulk Hogan stuff in an LLC, and like Bischoff ran it for a year.
Oh,
And
wow.
he like went down and lived with Hulk Hogan for like 3 months because like
Wow.
he was just such a wreck. So looking back on it now that you know that, like this makes even more because literally Bischoff could have manipulated everything
Right.
in real life also if he wanted to. So there's a lot of layers here.
Yeah, there's definitely some blurred lines. And they even mention that later. They have good continuity in the storyline, especially near the end, where they kind of allude to the fact that Bischoff had control of everything in his life. And so Hogan felt loyalty towards him. So that allowed him to be persuaded. And I think that showing that Hulk Hogan is human and he's not just some superhero, that I think that really helped appeal to the fans too. That helped make him that they still cheered for him despite the fact that he was a heel.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because everybody, you kind of know the payoff as we're going.
Right.
I mean, like you know what we're gonna get at the end here. Not the way I thought it would happen by the end of that match,
right.
but you know we're gonna somehow get Sting is going to turn Hulk Hogan back red and yellow. But it's just you have to isolate Bischoff and take down Immortal while doing it.
Right.
So you have that heel factory and everything. So it works well.
Right. Now, my question is to you, did they really need Sting to become the Joker in order to do this?
I mean, no. But it's funnier and more exciting this way, I think.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I'm glad they did it, but it's like they could have had him lose his mind without becoming the Joker. But the Joker was more topical. I mean, the Joker's still topical.
Yeah.
To a point.
I mean, you could have literally just had him, you could have redid WCW 97.
Right.
If you wanted to. Like you could have just had, you know, once Sting loses the title, beat him down, stretch your job or whatever. And then 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, during a match, they cut to the rafters or whatever, and Sting's up there.
Right.
And he has like a crow or whatever.
That's interesting. I never really thought of them doing that. And they do utilize the rafters a few times in the storyline, but that seems like a very TNA thing to do to recreate that. And it wouldn't be that bad of an idea because, I mean, it was done in 1997. This was 2010 or 2011 when it happened. So it's fun to fantasy book that sort of thing to see what else they could have done here other than the Joker Sting. But I'm very glad they did Joker Sting, not for storyline purposes, but just because.
Yeah, I mean, Joker Sting was fun, and then he shouted it out during his induction into the Hall of Fame in WWE real fast. I saw on YouTube, and he was like, "Should I say the Joker?" And the crowd like kind of popped for it, and he was like, "Yeah, I had fun doing that," and then just like kept going. So I mean, at least he got to do something different. But
right.
Yeah, I think it might have been the easy way out if you just have him redo the Crow kind of thing.
Yeah, true.
So this at least is different.
Yeah, it is. We get to anyway back to Eric Bischoff. He reiterates that Hogan and him are a team, and then he makes a match that we don't see, which is Sting versus Abyss. So, which I always enjoyed their matches, so that would have been pretty nice to see.
That's a weird grouping of people, though.
Yeah,
kind of on paper.
It is. They had people hated the last rights match that they did. That's when they chanted "Fire Russo" in the Impact Zone. But personally, like I didn't think it was that bad. Like it was ridiculous, but that might be something that we'd want to cover for Worst of Wrestling if we get a chance.
Anything with Vince Russo. I mean, come on now. So in the middle of this, though, Bischoff, you know, he puts him in the match against Abyss, but Sting says that Bischoff has a price to pay, and throws him into the corner and punches him twice. I believe in the stomach both
Yep.
times.
Yep.
Or 3 times he hits him, and then he just grabs him and hits the scorpion death drop like it's nothing.
Right. And then
Which
he
is
locks in.
weird.
Go ahead.
It's just weird.
Yeah, because you think that a babyface beating up a heel authority figure, you would think, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of run-ins before it happens or after it happens, but he just death drops him, rubs the face paint on his face, scorpion deathlock, Bischoff taps, and then they cut to commercial.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good segment. It was just, I think that you could have built it up to get a payoff out of it instead of doing it early.
Right. And I think that shows some of the short-sightedness of TNA's booking. When you have a lot of these like continuous things going on that are good, it's not perfect. Where they could have built, like you said, they could have built to this because he ends up knocking out Bischoff again. And could you imagine if they built that up for months until he finally got his hands on Bischoff and then lays him out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you would think Immortal has the army, so why not? Have Eric hide behind Immortal all the time.
Right.
But I almost laughed in the middle of this because I saw the next note on this Hogan segment. So Hogan's out here talking about Sting and how Sting attacked him in this next segment.
Oh, yeah.
Hogan calls Sting a coward, a come and go Marco Polo.
Yeah. He said, hide the ball, peekaboo, here today, gone tomorrow, Marco Polo. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I was like, I just didn't know what even to say when that happened. Like, what the fuck? But then, so this isn't really a Sting heavy promo here because you get some interaction between Hogan and the new champion, Anderson.
Right.
So Anderson comes out, talks with Hogan because he has not joined Immortal at this point.
Not yet. No, he was a lone wolf here.
And this is when he was doing his asshole gimmick, which was great. He had a lot of good T-shirts at that point.
I had the Pro Wrestling is Real, People Are Fake T-shirt back in the day.
It's a great T-shirt.
Yep, loved it.
So Hulk Hogan's doing the college recruiting job. He's trying to get this 5-star athlete here, and he's giving him all the pitches about how he's the world champion because Bischoff helped him, and he almost counted 1, 2, 3 Anoli on Ken Anderson. Hulk Hogan should not have a mic, honestly, now at this point. He says some stupid ass shit, but he also has he can go on this amazing promo, but he'll also say that he'll eat a man's ass, 3 Anoli, Marco Polo. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's got like some really eloquent things that he'll say out of nowhere, and then he does the whole brother thing, and then he just goes off, says the right gay guy at the right gay place or whatever he said.
Yeah, I forgot that SmackDown botch. Oh God, and they could have edited that out too, and they just kept it in there.
Yep.
The best was Vince McMahon's face in it because he's just like, as it's happening, he just lets it go. Like,
nothing will top the Yapapai Indian strap match promo. So,
oh, that's gonna have an episode.
Oh, I'm excited. Yapapai.
The Yapapai Indian strap match. That's what Jimmy Hart said with his dying breath. If you were gonna say one thing while you're getting carted to the hospital, it's that.
Oh man, great storyline. Anderson is still cocky during this. He calls himself the cock of the walk, which was fun, I guess. And he freaking dominated Sting without nearly breaking a freaking sweat. Direct quote.
And he said that he doesn't owe Immortal anything, and that an asshole gets the job done no matter how it is, and then takes all the credit for it.
A very true statement there. I'm a fan of Anderson on the microphone. I didn't like that he kind of buried Sting by saying without breaking a sweat, but I guess that's a heelish thing to do because he won by cheating. So, and it's Mr. Anderson. And I have a soft spot for him, so I'll allow it.
That's like his character too, though.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I mean, so during this, right after Anderson talks about how he'll take all the credit, we see on the screen as Hulk Hogan points to it, just so everybody knows to look at it, that Sting is beating up members of Immortal, and he says, "I want to talk to Hogan." And the only thing for sure about Sting is, "Oh, you get it." Like he just cuts himself off, which is great. So Sting makes his way out of here, or no, it blacks out,
Yes.
and then Sting is there.
Yeah, and because after Hogan's like, you see what's going on? Like, this is why we need you. And then, like you said, the lights go out. Sting is behind Hogan, and then he kneecaps him with the bat.
Yes, he does. Hogan's surgically repaired knees and gets hit with the bat, and Anderson just bounces. He's not here for this.
Right.
And so Hogan is down, and he makes his way to the corner. Or wait. Is this the time where he starts shoving vitamins in his mouth?
Let me. No, not at this point. Oh, yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. I thought this was a long segment then, because I thought that was a completely different segment. So This is where he hits Hogan again with the bat, and then he says, "My rematch on July 14th. We need a name for it. It's gonna be Midsummer Nightmare."
Which I love. Yes, he repeated Nightmare. And this is also where he called himself a Hulk Hogan mark.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he talked about the red and yellow bandanas and all that shit. And Hogan yelled, "You broke," because he hit him again with the bat like a second time in the ribs. And he yelled, "You broke my damn ribs."
Way to sell it, Hulk.
Yeah, Sting just completely no-sold it, and he shouts out Hogan for still having 21-inch pythons.
It was 24, right?
Yeah, I'm like, it's 24, Sting. You were close, but
lots than 3 inches, though, in his old age.
Yep, you got to get it right there, Sting. But he's Joker Sting.
And he said, we don't want to see this Hollywood Hogan. We want to see the red and yellow one, the one that eat your vitamins and say your prayers. And I think I wrote it backwards. I said, say your vitamins and eat your prayers.
Eat your prayers, honey.
Eat your prayers, Hulk. So Sting tells Hulk that he's going to give him a visual on his red and yellow sayings. And this is where he pulls out a big thing of vitamins and starts shoving them down his throat.
Yeah. Right down Hogan's throat, and Hogan is not having it. He's trying to spit him out, but he's been hitting the ribs. His ribs are broken, so he's completely incapacitated. His buddies are all laid out backstage. So the best part was Sting yelled, "Anybody got any water?" And the cameraman immediately produced a bottle of water and handed it to Sting.
He was like, "This guy's fucking crazy. We got to give him this water." So he starts, giving him the vitamins, and then he grabs Hogan for the Scorpion Deathlock and turns him over, and he's like, "All I got to do now is sit down." But he doesn't do that because, he needs to change Hulk Hogan.
True. And he also, they were chanting for Hogan at this point. There was like Hulk chants, which is maybe not a good sign that that Hogan is, but Hogan is just such a baby face always, in character at least, that he got cheered even when he was a heel in TNA. Mm-hmm. When he turned heel with Immortal, but they had the Hulk chants. And did you see that Sting gained a Southern accent when he's like, "All I gotta do is sit down"? Like, he had the Southern accent randomly.
Yeah, he was switching voices around in these promos like crazy. He's like I was gonna say a ventriloquist, but I don't think they changed their accents.
No.
So I don't know.
Maybe.
He was he was doing his impression of wherever they were, and we get to see impressions from Bischoff and Hogan later in the backstage footage.
Yes,
which we'll get to cover. But so Sting he could kill Hogan here, break his back, but instead all the Immortal members that Sting had beat up 5 minutes ago have healed, and they are ready to come out here.
Completely healed too. Like, they walk in with no problem. There's no running or anything. They just walk in casually as Hogan is about to get his back snapped.
And this is a motley crew of men here. You got Bully Ray leading them out, and Gunner, who shouldn't have beat Sting because he sucks, according to Ken Anderson. And then you got Abyss, who, he's just the life of the party. So he hangs out with these guys. And fucking Scott Steiner.
Love it. Who came back as a babyface just to turn heel again immediately. TNA, man. But the best was Bully Ray. Fashion watch here. Our first fashion watch of many. Bully Ray is wearing a he's wearing a Hogan portrait shirt that says change, like the Obama shirt.
Yeah.
And it's in red and yellow. And he also has red and yellow camo shorts, which I don't know where he found those, but God bless him for finding them.
Good for him, man. That's something. Never seen those in a damn Old Navy around here.
So Bully Ray comes in here and he yells, "Abyss, go check on Hulk."
Abyss, the fucking field medic. He's just ready to go.
Of all people, he's like, "Listen, I've been through enough thumbtacks and broken glass to know how to heal vitamin overdose."
Yeah, exactly. He was going to kill him with all the vitamins. Oh, my God. And Bully here. Bully is like he's the talker for the rest of Immortal. It seems like that all the wrestling guys in Immortal. And Bully calls Sting a wannabe and a loser. And he says he hasn't crossed paths with Sting. So we're going to get a dream match that we didn't know we needed between Bully Ray and Sting here tonight. And he said, "You know what I hate? Bullies. And Sting, you're deplorable." And he says, "That's a 4-syllable word."
There was no reason for that. He's just showing off shout out to Bully Ray for showing off his intelligence.
Yeah, he got the vocabulary. Oh, God.
But he acts as if he's going to wrestle Sting, and then he's like, "The dream match nobody ever knew that they wanted," or whatever the hell he said. And he's like, "Sting 1-on-1 tonight with Scott Steiner."
And Scott Steiner just looked at him like, "The fuck? Like, this isn't what we talked about." So that happened, which that's probably a hidden gem in itself right there. Yes. Scott Steiner and Sting in 2011.
Oh, man. The thing that threw me off here was that Immortal just stood in the ring and addressed Sting as Hogan was laying, OD'd on vitamins in the corner with Abyss tending to him, giving him mouth to mouth.
And was Sting still just standing there, even though they could all jumped him?
Yep, he was just standing there, but they're all just like, "Hey, we're going to have a nice talk with you," instead of doing anything. They were observing social distancing before it was cool.
They were. And then, is this where Hogan, like, they're about to end this segment and Hogan just gets up and he no-sells all his injuries? Yeah. And he has all the vitamins, so he healed real fast. So he says, "This is the last time that Sting messes with me." And that's the segment there. So, and the next segment we see in this is the hidden gem of the whole episode.
Love it. You rarely see Kurt Angle as the like straight man in a comedic situation. Like, he's always the goofy heel. He does a great job here.
Yes, Sting and Angle are in the locker room, and we see Sting laying on top of the lockers, singing "Eye of the Tiger," but he changed it to "Eye of the Stinger," and for the battle against Immortal or whatever, which is great. And he asks Kurt, he's like, "Do you remember that one? That's the early '80s, Survivor." And Kurt's like, "What the fuck?"
His direct quote was, "Stinger, you all right, bro?"
Kurt Angle, "You all right, bro?" And Kurt says, "I don't know if I could trust you, Sting." And Sting assures Kurt that he can. So that's good. And Sting's face paint has straight up become the Joker at this point.
Yes, and his voices like, to have to seriously critique this for a second, his voices, he does a great job with them, but it's so much like the Joker. It's like, you really didn't need to do that. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that he did.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm glad that he did.
I really did enjoy Joker Sting, man. It was different though. Like,
yeah, it gave him a different wrinkle to his character. It allowed like him to show humor for the first time ever, like you were saying earlier.
Good for him for being like. There's not a lot of people that can just become funny.
Right.
So
After
good for
years
him.
of not, he did an excellent job with what he was given. Um, but we end up cutting away from that, and we get a Hogan getting his revenge on Sting.
This
Finally,
was this was not needed at all.
no, no, he's backstage and he's punching Sting, and it's filmed from behind Hogan, and like Sting is popping up and laughing after every punch, like it's some
Mhm.
whack-a-mole game,
Yeah.
and uh the punches look terrible because it's Hogan, and they didn't want him to actually throw hands because his back is destroyed at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So he hits him I wrote very fakely, which isn't a word, but but
It
he
can be
does,
now.
yeah, fakely. Um, and then he eventually takes the baseball bat, and Sting is like, "Oh no!" and then gets hit in the head with the bat, very fakely again.
A terrible, terrible swing there.
Yes.
Got to critique that. Hogan obviously didn't play much softball. He should have called in Sid for this hit.
We really missed the opportunity of Sid in 2011 TNA as part of Immortal.
We really did, though. I can't believe Sid didn't. Was he in TNA ever for like a minute?
No, never.
Wow, that's a missed opportunity.
It
Real,
is
real big missed opportunity.
disappointing.
Oh, so now we have on. I am gonna guess this is the next episode of Impact,
Yes.
and Immortal is having a team meeting in Bischoff's office, and Bischoff says he has a letter from the network that they want more X Division after the success of the Destination X pay-per-view. So that's nice. More X Division, always good.
Absolutely, except to Immortal because it was hilarious. They just reacted with disgust, like
They're like,
no,
oh,
no. And somebody, I think Jeff Jarrett, yells out, "They're midgets."
did he really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I think it was Jeff Jarrett. Somebody did, and I lost my shit because I'm like, way to put over these excellent athletes, but I love their reaction just with complete disdain.
And then Hogan, was that before or after Hogan walks? Because Hogan walks in here, and he is also starting to lose his shit like Sting because he
Right.
is about to turn to murder here for Kurt Angle because he says he wants to cut Angle's throat.
Very bold choice.
And he's like, who? Sorry, he's like, who's gonna
Good.
take care of this? And Bully's like, you know what? I think that I can. Mr. Anderson's got it.
Who at this point has apparently joined Mortal, which
Yeah.
I don't think we saw, but a good choice to bring him in. But Anderson's like, even though he's the TNA World Champion, he's like, what? Me?
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not supposed to wrestle.
Yep. And then we get, I'm just going through it here. Jeff Jarrett speaking Spanish.
Yes, he says like que pasa or something randomly at somebody. Oh my God. Yeah. He says like 3 Spanish words because, you know, he's the biggest star in Mexico now, I guess.
Him and Conan.
Yep. Him and Conan will always be over there. And while they're all doing this, Bischoff says, but wait, there's more from the network. He's like a TV salesman. And he said, and that's when Sting walks in from, well, there's no door there. He had been hiding behind like a plant the whole time that we did, which is ridiculous because he has on a red suit and he walks around the Immortal members and puts his feet up on the desk and he breaks some news to Immortal here.
Yes. First off, the news that he breaks, he says, hold up, I have a cage. Everybody looks at him like, what the fuck is going on here? What is happening? He throws.
I have a cage.
Yep, he's like, he has a cage. He's wearing a red tie, black undershirt, and red suit, as you said. And he's like, you're probably concerned that my red doesn't match. It clashes. Well, it's Versace.
This was a good crazy Sting segment. Like this was the most fun you could have backstage.
Yes, he was clearly having a good time there. Like an elite line out of all of this. It might have been my favorite line, other than "I have the stinger." Um,
This whole thing, he was just fire. I love how Sting started firing comebacks back at people because Karen Jarrett goes, "You're crazy," and he's like, "Thank you, Karen," and just like continues, which is great. And oh my god, he had been hiding in the fucking room, and Hogan's like, "Were you in here the whole time?" And he's like, "Yes," and just like keeps going. There's a lot going on in this fucking segment.
It's so absurd. Then you get to the point where you find out that Sting has a great relationship with the network. Like they're
Good
like,
for
you know what, we need more crazy Sting. That's what we need on here. Let's make him the new network executive.
Oh, of course, because
Wild.
instead of picking like I don't know, like Ric Flair or somebody that it's kind of makes sense that dresses in a suit
Yep.
and everything. You are going to take the face painted guy that stands in the rafters.
And who's now wearing Versace red that clashes.
Mm-hmm.
What the
Yes,
fuck?
but it's Versace, so
It
it's
is.
all right.
he he yells at Immortal for a bit and makes a cage match between Angle and Anderson with Fortune as the lumberjacks at ringside because a cage isn't good enough.
No, you have to have lumberjacks at the cage, just in
Yes.
case Immortal tries to storm the cage.
Right. And this was after Fortune was revealed as the second they.
Oh, great segment, underrated segment.
Yes. For people that don't know, Fortune was originally part of Immortal, the Ric Flair stable.
Hated that.
Yeah, hated it. Terrible reveal at the end of like the first TNA after Bound for Glory when they formed Immortal. Um, but then a few months later, it was revealed Abyss was prophesizing a new they, which Immortal was originally the first they. This is tough to follow for myself to
There's
even
a lot
talk
of theys.
about.
So wait, Abyss brought up that there was another they coming, but was he scared of them, like in
I
that way?
think so. I think
Okay.
so. He was scared of them because he could see the future, I guess, but not enough to see who they actually were.
Hmm.
Um, so they end up revealing via fortune hand signal that AJ Styles does it when they're beating down but Kurt Angle, Anderson, somebody.
And it might have been Jeff Hardy.
Well,
Is
Jeff
beat
Hardy was,
Jeff Hardy's beating down
yes.
Anderson, I believe.
Yes, that sounds right. But AJ Styles throws up the fortune sign, and then immediately Fortune turns babyface. So now they're opposing Immortal, which is a cool little angle there.
Yeah, the
Got a
best
big
part
pop.
about that is AJ throws up like the like fortune, whatever sign, and everybody was in a different like side of the ring, and they all
Right.
turned and hit the over the top rope clothesline. So like Jeff Hardy was alone, which was awesome.
Yes,
But
loved it.
and it got a good pop. Like it actually didn't.
It
But
did.
the first they that the set well oh god this is confusing. The second they the first choice to be the second they was the main event Mafia.
Oh,
Correct.
that's right. Yeah, because they brought Scott Steiner in, but they couldn't get Nash or Booker because they signed with WWE. So they
And
just brought Steiner in.
they were the surprise Royal Rumble entrance that year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they just brought Scott Steiner in and didn't know what to do with him. So they
Because
put him in Immortal.
they went far enough to even make the vignette of like the main event Mafia music, and it said like
Right.
just when you thought they were coming, and like it had like the old film like burning
Right.
because they really thought they were coming. So like they could have ended it with just when you thought they were coming, so did we. But nope, didn't happen. So it had to be
Nope.
Fortune.
R.I.P.
So
So
awesome stuff.
wow. Yeah, so the match has been made by Evil Sting. Well, Crazy Sting, I should say. Chaotic Good Sting. Uh,
Chaotic good sting.
uh, so we get to the next segment where Eric Bischoff is angry with the network for making Sting authority, which is to be that's understandable on
Yeah.
Bischoff's part. That like, okay, this guy's technically my boss now. Not a fan of this.
Yeah, he's bitching out some dude on the phone, some poor customer service rep for Spike TV. And that's where we get the twist that the guy he's yelling at, he says, "Wait, you haven't talked to Sting in weeks?" So Sting is
Dun dun
playing them.
dun.
Sting is
Love it.
he's scheming. He stays scheming, and then Sting comes in and says, "I'm sorry, I have to." He's like pretending to cry, and he's like, "I have
Yep.
a confession to make, and I'm not the network exec, but when you wear Versace, people listen."
Oh man, he there was a fucking gem of a line there. Sting here, he completely finessed everybody. You gotta be a fan of a smart baby face, and that's what he is.
This was fun though. Like
It
this,
was.
it made sense, and it's a great like mini story for that night.
Right. And not only now Bischoff knows, but before he can tell Immortal, Sting does something that has summed up a lot of the Immortal storyline here as people are like, okay, I don't want to watch this anymore. He unleashes a fucking raven from the cage, like from the cage that he brought in earlier when he said, I have a cage. He unleashes a fucking raven that scares the shit out of Eric Bischoff.
Is it a raven?
Yes.
I thought it should. I don't know. I put crow because I'm ignorant to bird types, and two, I just figured that was his gimmick, so that's what it was going to be. But
yeah, I think because it's got the white face or the white bill or whatever it had, it made it a raven. But to my knowledge, it was a raven at least.
I don't know. It definitely wasn't a crow though, because
no,
too common of a bird to put in a cage there.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be trained like this one was because Bischoff had sold the fear of God into this poor raven that was starting to like make noises at him. And apparently this raven was enough to confine him to the room that him and Sting were in. And Sting decided, okay, I'm going to go watch the main event in the rafters. You stay here with the raven.
Didn't he say, like, if you look at it, it'll go right for your eyes or something?
Yes.
Oh my God. And Sting's like, I'm going to go watch the cage match. Ta-ta for now. And just walks out. And then they randomly, like, there's like a 4-second cut in here where they show a deranged looking Sting in the rafters watching the cage match, laughing maniacally. Which is great. Amazing.
Yeah, a great one night babyface thing to do. Like, very funny. It doesn't put over Sting as like a scary face, like one to be messed with, but it puts him over as intelligent, which is nice.
Yes. And so after this, we have, I think the next thing is the Anderson Immortal induction. Is that right? Where he wears the camo tux.
Yes, he wears the camo tuxedo to meet Immortal in the ring. So he's styling and profiling out there.
He is. I didn't know they made such things.
No.
But, got out the Duck Dynasty collection.
He had the bow tie, too. Like, it was also camo. I don't know where you procure those things, but I mean, maybe John Cena helped him out there because you can't see him.
That's true. Him and Anderson were on the same level for one night.
Yep.
So this, I guess Anderson was an associate for a while of Immortal. He was just hanging around. It was like a fraternity when they were trying to recruit men into the fraternity. That's what they were doing with Anderson. They're showing him all the good things they can do, like have Sting hide in a room and nobody knows.
Quick side note, have you ever been recruited into a fraternity?
I have not. I tried to not get into fucking random social groups, I guess, in college. I don't know.
I was accidentally recruited by a fraternity. I didn't realize it until I'd been invited to go bowling with a friend I made from class, and all of a sudden all of his frat brothers were there. And I'm like, oh, I made a mistake here.
Nothing against fraternities. I just cannot pay money to like be in one of those things. Like, right. I don't have hundreds of dollars just to blow.
Same here. But shout out to the nickname of the dude, Crazy Mike, was a great guy. We stayed friends for a while.
Funny dude, very funny dude. But this whole segment here, man, Hogan formally welcomes Anderson to the group. Says they haven't seen eye to eye all the time, but Anderson and him can work together and all that good camaraderie stuff that Immortal all shares. Those guys are just so tight. There's all
Right.
like-minded individuals there with Scott Steiner, Bully Ray, Jeff Jarrett, Eric
Abyss.
Bischoff. Abyss
in his sleeveless suit. I don't know if you saw that. He had no tie and no sleeves in his tuxedo.
Oh my God, that's amazing. But as they are talking about how lovely this family is, the lights go out. We need to mention that there was a random poker table in the ring for this also.
Yes.
The lights go out and Sting appears at the poker table in a chair. And he said tonight he's going to become the world heavyweight champion. And then, goes on to ignite some comments from Hulk Hogan here.
Right. And first Sting had said that because I think Anderson said that he was the ace of spades there in the deck and he was willing to take the gamble. And Sting appeared and his first lines was, "Did anyone say gamble?" Like, love it. Oh my God. I'll tell the truth. I had a little bit of a sour experience the first time I watched this. The second time was better. As I go back and think of all the funny things that happened here, like I absolutely love this and so glad this happened.
He said, did someone say gamble? And in Charlotte or Chicago, wherever he was staying, Michael Jordan's head popped up very happy. Like that meme where he like takes off his headphones and he's looking around. Have you seen that meme?
Yes, I have.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
My first thought was the caveman SpongeBob meme, where it's when somebody says gamble and then you do the crying Jordan on the caveman SpongeBob meme.
I love the Jordan meme where he's just like taking off his headphones.
Yes.
Oh my God, that and the one where he's like, "Stop it, you get some help" or whatever, because people share that on things all the time too.
He's a very memeable man.
The greatest of all, well, arguably the greatest of all time, depending on where you stand, and also maybe one of the greatest memes of all time. So
absolutely, crying Jordan, my favorite meme. So
for sure.
Back to Sting, Bischoff says that he always respected Sting, but this is nuts. And Sting declares he'll be champion tonight. And that's when, if you want to get into it, Hogan starts to threaten Sting.
Yeah, he threatens him. I didn't really write down any of the threats, just that he is going to leave on a stretcher. So they're going to have Sting severely injured here tonight. But Sting goes back to the whole aces thing that Anderson said, and he said he has a bunch of aces in his deck and starts throwing out cards into the ring. And he says, the network has you on thin ice to Bischoff and Hogan. And then Sting keeps throwing the magic bullet aces. He calls them his magic bullet aces, which is weird. But then we have a great reveal here. I love this. I absolutely love the clowns.
Oh, I didn't expect it. Like, it was one of those things where, to compare it, Jimmy, when we did our Dark Wedding episode, said, do you think anybody that showed up to the arena thought, man, we're going to see somebody get married against their will today? It's like this, where did anybody think that Sting was going to summon clowns from the rafters?
No, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was. They look demented too. Like Sting's got people watching his back. He's got the whole squad rolling up in the rafters.
Yeah, there's like a good 6 men in evil clown masks just showing up.
And Mike Tenay with the Immortal call, "Evil clowns up in the rafters."
Oh my God, I love it. And Bischoff then calls Sting a freak, and Sting says, "Thank you," and disappears as the lights go out again. I love the fact that I think only in pro wrestling you can have the lights go out and people disappear, and it's just accepted that it can happen.
Yeah, completely normal. Like Undertaker does it all the time. It's incredible. I wish that happened in real life, where if I didn't like a situation, I could just turn off the lights and disappear. Like, half of my the classes that I have to take on Zoom, I just flicker the lights and all of a sudden I've disappeared and I'm no longer in class.
That'd be great. That and what was the guy that we've told this before, that you always have to check the rafters if you go to a wrestling show.
Yes.
And obviously Bischoff and Hogan didn't live by this philosophy, or they would have saw that there was clowns up there. But tonight, this is Midsummer Nightmare, by the way. I just realized, because this is where Sting and Anderson fight for the world title in the main event that night. So, what says world heavyweight title match more than Murder Clowns and Immortal fighting? But we cut here to the end of the Sting and Anderson Midsummer Nightmare world heavyweight title match, and Hebner somehow takes a foot to the face in one of these moves, but then gets hit again and bumps out. And Sting puts on the deathlock, and Anderson's, of course he's tapping out, but there's no referee. And then we are told by Mike Tenay that all the evil clowns have eliminated everyone but Bully Ray. He's the survivor in the horror movie. He's the final girl.
I would love to see Bully Ray in a horror movie now with his New York accent, acting very I would pay to see Bully Ray act.
I don't know if you're a fan of Impractical Jokers at all, but Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, and Velvet Sky appeared on one of them, because they're all from New York. All those guys are from New York also.
Yeah. Really?
So it was they did a skit where they had headphones all tangled up, and they were in a mall, and they had to have somebody untangle them by the time a person came there and tried to pants them. So
wild.
They were like, "Oh, who's gonna come get you?" And the first person was Bully Ray, and he was like, the one guy's a big wrestler fan. He's like, "Oh, it's fucking Bully Ray," and he's like, "Untangle faster." And Bully Ray just ripped this man's. But he pulled them down with such authority that he brought the draws down with him.
Oh my god!
And the guy said, "We're gonna get kicked off TV." Amazing. I'm very happy they were there, though.
Yes, Bully Ray getting to show his. I was gonna say off his bullying tactics in kayfabe, but Bully Ray is here. He's the only member left, and he hits Sting in the back of the head with a chain and goes for another shot, but an evil clown appears. One last evil clown.
Blackout.
The blackout evil clown, and he takes Bully Ray out with the bat. The lights go back out. The ring is empty for Sting. He hits the death drop on Anderson and wins. He wins the fucking belt. He
wins the belt this way. It's great that there's this many lights out moments at one show.
Yes.
This might be the best lights out show of all time, because there's 2 lights out in the main event, the one in the segment. There may have been more with the other clowns, we don't know. But the lights go out, and the best is Anderson's the only one in the ring for that second, and he's just is staggering around like, what the fuck am I doing here? But I can't believe that he didn't kick out of that or anything.
Right. The fact that they gave Sting the belt back, because it was Sting, they flopped it to Anderson for a month, Sting again, and then I think he loses it to the guy that they reveal as the clown. Mm-hmm. I think he loses it too.
I believe that's right.
Now, who did you think, before we reveal who the clown was, who did you think the clown was?
Oh, I don't know if I had a thought in my head, honestly. I don't know. I thought it could have been AJ.
Right.
But Angle did make sense, since he was the number 1 contender and he had been a face.
Right.
But I don't know. Who did you think it was?
I thought, because of the beard, it was Christopher Daniels making his comeback in TNA, because he was with Ring of Honor at that point. He had left because remember, he left after having the job to Sean Morley, which I would have left too.
Yeah.
But I thought that was his comeback there, because he had the beard and everything. So that would have been cool, but I'm cool with Kurt Angle being the evil clown as well.
I'm trying to think of who else would have had a relationship with Sting where it would have made sense. I don't know.
Or
Lex Luger.
Lex Luger. Could you imagine
That would have been
Lex
amazing.
Luger? And these T-shirts are too tight, too, Immortal.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anybody else that I like thought it was. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a good. It could have been other people, but I didn't think about the possibilities. I would have had to know the storylines better, I guess, at that point.
Right. And I had no idea either. But Kurt Angle is Evil Sting, or Evil Sting. Kurt Angle is Evil Clown, and he's got a beard, which is strange. He's probably had some sort of movie role that he was auditioning for, and he looks like he's laughing at the camera as the show goes off air.
It was a great moment, though. Like that it was executed very well, and like the reveal, like there was a good pop with the reveal. So that was cool. I actually really liked that, the whole clown thing and everything. But yeah, I mean it wasn't bad.
Yes, now the only thing I think that would have been cooler would have been multiple Sting masks, like people like with like how the gif of Sting pulling the Sting mask off his face to reveal his own face with the face paint, like that.
It's one of my favorite segments in wrestling history, that there was just like 17 Stings that walked down to get punched out, and then I think was it Buff Bagwell that punched him because he like hit him and then started dancing around and flexed, and it was the real Sting.
Oh, they did it a second time in TNA. They did RVD. He was sitting in the stands and he was wearing a Sting mask, and he hits Rob Van Dam in the head with a chair and then pulls off the mask to reveal that he's actually Sting.
I like it.
So they did it twice. I forgot about the Buff Bagwell one.
Yeah, I'm happy that happened.
Yes. So anyway, we're going to get to possibly my favorite segment on this entire thing, because we get Hulk Hogan is in the ring with arguably the greatest of all time on the microphone or in the ring, the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
And man, at this point in his career, Flair did not give a fuck.
No.
Not one fuck in any of these segments.
He was getting paid for like 4 days a month to hang out in Florida and drink with people and tell stories.
Which is what he was doing anyways, probably. So,
but now he gets paid for it. Like, TNA is an easy gig, man. Shout out to Ric Flair for finessing. But Sting interrupts them, and TNA calls him the new nickname that he has for him, the Insane Icon. What do you think about that one?
I mean, he's insane and he is an icon, so I guess it works out. I mean, I don't know if I mean, I guess he couldn't call him the fucking Joker, so I guess it worked out.
It can't be like the Riddler or anything else either.
No. He could have just started, instead of the clowns, he could have brought in all the other Batman villains to help him. He could have had like the Riddler, the fucking the Penguin, which would have had to been played by Paul Heyman. I don't know any more Batman villains. Poison Ivy.
Oh, yep, that's a Batman villain. That could have been any. I feel like Velvet Sky would do a good Poison Ivy.
Schwarzenegger was one of the people in the '90s ones. He was.
Oh, was he like the Iceman? Like
yeah. I don't know what his name was, but he was cold.
Yeah, we apologize since we talked shit on NASCAR last episode. We apologize for talking any shit on Batman preemptively. I don't know enough about comic books.
Who's the when you think of Batman, who do you think of? Which actor?
That's a tough one. Everybody's gonna hate this that I said it. It's well, actually, Adam West would be
okay. That was mine too. Okay.
The other one would be George Clooney. He was Batman, wasn't he?
Batman? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, he was. I think he did like one.
I saw that movie when I was a kid, and so people are gonna hate that because he's like their least favorite Batman. But
oh god, this has become a Batman podcast for a second. So you have Adam West, and then you have I don't know who else was Batman between that, but Val Kilmer randomly was Batman, like after being Jim Morrison.
Ben Affleck was. Right.
Ben Affleck. Everybody hated that because he was like one of the newer ones. Michael Keaton.
Oh, that's everybody's favorite Batman. Almost.
George Clooney. Christian Bale was a good Batman, though.
Yeah, Christian Bale was fine. Well, not fine. He was, excellent. But I don't know a lot about. I forget these movies.
Now it's the dude from Twilight. Is going to
Yes,
be Batman
yeah,
now.
Robert Pattinson. Yeah, hopefully, I'd love to see that get made.
They released a screenshot or something from it because I saw someone share it, and he literally looks like anyone you see at a My Chemical Romance concert. He looks like an emo Batman.
Love that. You need to have a bunch of different Batmans for variety. It's like Spider-Man, how they randomly remade it despite remaking it 2 years before. Um, I'm a Spider-Man guy. I don't know anything else about comic books other than Spider-Man, to be honest.
Tobey Maguire will forever be my Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
Throwing it out there. He fought Randy Savage.
Yep, he did. My favorite. I've been told at times when I was younger that I looked like Tobey Maguire, which I never understood, but I took that as a compliment.
It was I don't think anybody's ever told me I looked like a famous person. I don't even know.
I've been told that, and then Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, which I did not like.
Really?
Yeah, when I
didn't
have
a kid I work with that does look like Sheldon, though.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. So, just let it be known that Paul Giamatti would have to play Paul Heyman
in a movie. Yes.
In a movie. That's the only one it has to be. Can we please address why Chris Hemsworth would be Hulk Hogan?
I don't understand it.
Like it just doesn't even make sense to me. But whatever.
I don't get it.
But it's a good choice. I mean, it's a good name, but he doesn't look like Hulk Hogan.
No, I'll only accept Hulk Hogan in biopics as Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should just be him.
Yep, brother.
Oh my. So what else do we have here? We are in the Hogan Flair segment.
Yes. Oh, God. After that little diversion there, we apologize, but we really don't apologize at the end of the day because that was hopefully entertaining for everybody.
I'm just glad we were on the same page with Adam West.
Yes. Yeah. Adam West, R.I.P. Man, R.I.P. But Hogan says that Sting doesn't have any fries left in his Happy Meal. You're flying around like a goose in this place. I can hear the marbles rattling around in your head.
Oh my God.
What is this man talking about?
And Hogan then said, I love how he brought this up too, because after the insults of saying he's crazy, he says, we can't have this. It's a family show.
Keep that in mind within the next 5 minutes when Ric Flair speaks.
A year removed from them gutting a man that was their world champion, leaving him in a pool of blood. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Impact was always the show that I tried not to watch around my family, actually, because they would be like, what are you watching? That's probably not like compared to WWE at the time, like wild.
Yeah, at this time in WWE, you have The Miz as the world champion, if you think about it.
Tough scene.
Or it might have been Wait,
Miz
is this when
Cena
and Punk? Because this is like the Summer of Punk, right?
Oh yeah, Summer of Punk happened I think a little bit after this, but it was around this time. So you had R-Truth and Little Jimmy.
Oh God. Okay, so this was just not a good time, I guess. Regardless.
No, I checked. That's why I got into Ring of Honor a lot during this time because look what I had to watch, like on TV. Rough, but Hogan promises to be good as long as Sting stops the madness. And Sting mocks Hogan for a while. I don't know if you wrote down any of those.
Yes, he does. And Hogan also says that him and Bischoff are going to run the company with the highest level of precision now. They're done fucking around. They just want to bury themselves into a hole financially before this. and then Sting says that he will be did you have any of the notes for him mocking him? Because I didn't really
No, I just wrote that Sting mocks Hogan, then hugs him and kisses his cheek.
Yes, and this is where Sting says he'll end all the madness under one condition, but then names many conditions.
Yes.
He says milk and cookies for all was the first one.
Which got a pop.
Yes, I mean I'm fine with that. Throw an Oreo in the stands there. And then he says balloons, puppies for all, unicorns, flowers, red and yellow roses. But that's when Sting hugs it out and kisses Hogan's cheek. And this enrages Ric Flair, who surprisingly did not blade from hearing these demands.
I really figured that he would blade by the end of this segment. I was hoping that he would, but he screams after he hugs and kisses. Sting hugs and kisses Hogan's cheek. Flair screams, "You stupid son of a bitch!" Like, just completely like he just. The only man that could match Sting's crazy was TNA Ric Flair crazy.
Oh my God, he was on another level. He says,
Yes.
he comes out and he says, "I'm Ric Flair. I've been crazy," and then he hits the ropes, drops the elbow for no reason, which is like his thing at this point. Yep. And he said he's been crazy since Sting was sucking his mom's tit, and it gets bleeped out, which was ridiculous. I've never heard somebody, never heard that get. I didn't know that was a bleep word. But and then Flair, what does he say when he drops the F-bomb? Because he just straight doesn't care.
He cuts a fucking awesome promo about how Sting like has always refrained from beating up Ric Flair because he respects him and all of that. He yelled like, you ease up on me and I'll kick your fucking ass.
Oh,
yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, Ric Flair was going at it.
It was great, and of course it got bleeped because this is a family show after all, with the F-bombs dropped. But I didn't expect that. I for a second thought that I heard something wrong and rewound the footage and looked at his mouth, and he straight up said, "I'll kick your fucking ass."
And then he said, I think he said, "I'll kick your fucking ass, you jackass." Just how many swear words did they have a counter for the show? Like, you get 10. Ric Flair was like, "I'm using them all."
That's really what he did, because he's like, "You son of a bitch, you jackass, you asshole," like all of these. Flair just, you could tell he had a good time at the bar the night before. And was like, "Okay, it's time to not have a filter."
And this is where Sting kind of goes back to normal for half a second here.
Right.
Did you realize that? Because he's like, Flair says, you won't go for the kill because you respect me so much. Like, you won't put me down like Shawn Michaels did. And then Sting says to Flair, "If you put that finger in my face, I'll bite it off, bro." Which I love Sting dropping the bro, since he's from California, so he can throw it in there.
It fits the character. But he also fakes dropping the elbow like Flair. Like you said, he acts like it, like his normal self for that, and he yells, "Finally, someone to relate to."
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because Flair's just on one here. But this segment ends with Sting challenging Hogan to a match at Bound for Glory. But we also find out that Sting and Flair are actually going to fight, on this Impact, which is insane, in the year 2011.
And this was Flair's last match ever too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. And that's the last one he ever had. It was on Impact, and I don't think I watched it, but I wish that was included. Like, if I could pick one thing that I wish was included in this, it would have been Sting versus Flair, because I want to see how quickly he blades in the match.
I was just saying, he blades.
Absolutely.
He's 100% blading. There's no way around it. So after the challenge, we presume that Sting goes over. He does go over. I think it's confirmed later over Flair. And Sting, he's still the world champion at this point, I believe.
He actually, I think, has lost the TNA title, and because he stole it. And they mentioned that he stole the title. So within the span of weeks, he's already lost the belt again. And this time, I believe it was to Kurt Angle, who turned and joined Immortal after screwing Anderson out of the belt.
That's almost as insane as David Arquette's whole thing being a ruse.
It was a sham.
So, oh God, we see Bischoff or Sting with the World Heavyweight title that he has stolen with Bischoff and Hogan, and he calls them both out, but we don't really know what happens because it's like a quick segment. I don't know exactly what the payoff was of this.
No, it was choppy here. I just wrote that Hogan arrives to a huge pop, and then all of a sudden there's no Sting, and Hogan is in the ring, and he's a babyface now.
Oh yeah, and then the next segment is
Yeah.
Hogan faking his retirement.
Yes, like a carny, like the carny he is,
Hmm.
faking his retirement again. Uh, he came. They were in Knoxville, Tennessee at this point, I believe, for
Hmm.
this episode. And he arrived to a huge pop and was. He thanked the fans for everything as he's retiring. He brings out the red and yellow weightlifting belt as well.
Yes. Yep. He has. I think he has. Does he have a red headband and everything too?
Yes, yeah, he's all babyface Hogan at this point.
Yeah. And he even talks about his retirement, that he's going to be home more. He's going to do some golfing and fishing.
Yep, he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but which again, he sounded very. This was so different from the you know what brother, like hulking up Hogan, or even like the cool heel Hogan. Like this is like Terry Bollea.
Hmm. Yeah. And he does a good job with it. He's talking about how people are asking if this is legit, if it's really over. And you know what? This was a good time to pull it off because he, well documented. He has like a million surgeries during this time.
Right.
And he's like, people were on Twitter and Facebook asking me, saying they got a 10-hour drive to the arena to see Hogan one last time. And so, he thanks the fans. There's a thank you Hogan chant that goes on for like a minute straight.
Right.
And that is when he is gonna leave and retire, but Sting is here with
Yes.
you got to give the fashion watch for this one too.
We really need like somebody to record a fashion watch thing, like with like sirens or whistles or something every time we drop it.
Oh my
um,
god, we're gonna have to find the sound effects.
yes, so or find somebody if you want to edit it for us, we will drop it in. But
My
uh,
goal is that someone clips some of these and puts all the fashion watches in one montage together
oh, that would be incredible. Could you imagine the looks that would be served? We could do a whole episode on it,
on
but.
Jesus, just on Jesus himself.
Who, by the way, not to spoil anything, but we will see him later with one of the episodes we have scheduled.
Which one is? Oh yes, I remember. Okay, never mind. Okay.
Yes.
I was like,
So
what the fuck? Why didn't we ever watch Jesus again?
we will see him again, but we're going to leave that till the end of the year to put you all in suspense. But Sting comes out, fashion watch. He's wearing his red suit again. His red is
Versace.
clashing. Versace. But he also has a yellow Hulkamania shirt with red lettering that says Hulkamania on it. Love it.
Yes, he does. He is
Styling and profiling.
yes, a lot of style there. The blazer and the t-shirt is always a bold choice, especially a Hulkamania one. But um so he comes out and he says, "Is anyone really buying this retirement? Like, come on now. We know it's not happening." And he says, "Well, Hulk, I've got some there's cameras everywhere these days." So, like he doesn't fucking know. And he says, and there was one that caught you and Bischoff earlier, and he plays the footage to Hogan's dismay. He is very angry about this.
Yep.
And um we see Hogan and Bischoff talking openly about the fake retirement.
Yes, and as we know with Hulk Hogan, like I said earlier, hidden cameras are his Achilles heel, so to speak. So Hogan is talking about he was talking like, oh my gosh, I'm worried, do you think anybody's gonna find out that I'm faking my retirement or whatever? And then they both him and Bischoff start laughing,
And
and
Bischoff does like the fish hook thing too, which was
yeah,
great.
and they both start mocking Knoxville, like they did the southern accent, and then they're like, people are really driving 8 hours to see you, like, and I'm like, this is amazing heel work by Hogan and Bischoff. I love this.
Bischoff just is trying to play on any bad Southern stereotype you could take. And
Yeah,
he's like, they're mortgaging their trailers to get out here. And then he's like, oh, what else did they say? They said something about the people of Knoxville and did like their, like Huckleberry Finn kind of sounding Southern accent
yeah,
with it. Like, oh God, they were just
that's
really going full heel for that night.
Yeah, that's the old school heel heat, like Memphis style up in there. But Hogan loses his shit at this. He is finally snapped. He's done dealing with Sting at this point, and he yells, he's like, "All right, Sting, I'll fight you at Bound for Glory, and if I lose, I'll give the company back to you and Dixie Carter." And then he like freezes because now that he said it, it's law. Like it
It's
can't be
binding. It's legally
changed.
binding.
Yep. It's a verbal agreement, and he could be taken to court for that and sued, much like he sued Gawker.
You don't want to. You don't want to meet the courtroom. Meet Hogan in there because he has run wild on a lot of people.
Yep. Hogan has been he's really undefeated in the courtroom. But Hogan knows here that he would lose, so he knows he has to have this match. And not only is it the match, but it's a match that Sting has wanted for an entire year and a half. And Sting has what he wanted, so of course the new catchphrase, "Ta-ta for now."
I love it. It's going to be a shirt. We're going to make some shirts at some point here, and that is going to be one of them.
Yep. With Joker Sting's face on it. Love it.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'm all about it.
So before the Bound for Glory match, we have one more Sting promo, and he has like a Hulk Hogan shirt on, which is just funny. And he calls him out, and Hogan claims that he is not cleared to wrestle. How sad.
Damn shame right there. Is this a segment where Sting was dressed as Hogan? He had the Immortal wearing... shirt, jeans.
Yes.
Fashion watch, by the way. Immortal. Where can I purchase? I'm gonna look it up now. Where
You're
can
gonna
I
have to get on like Mercari or something for it?
Hulk Hogan Immortal T-shirt. We're doing this in live time, pal.
So as Tom is doing his shopping for new fashion watch clothing, he is dressed as Hogan. Sting wearing jeans is never a good idea. I don't think Sting has ever worn just normal clothes besides for when he was in the Main Event Mafia.
No, I mean the only thing that he'll wear is like a T-shirt.
Yeah, he always has his like unique pants that have like the football pads in them.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, sorry to cut you off. On eBay, I can buy it now for $26.34. The same shirt.
That's like above retail when it came out. It's a collector's item.
The only size it's in is small, so it would have to be a collector's item.
Oh yeah, we'd be running around like Blue Meanie. I'm gonna get it. I'm just gonna wear it.
Yep, I'm gonna have to do it someday. I will buy it, and I will let everybody know that I have the TNA Immortal T-shirt.
I have the Hogan shirt that says "Change."
Oh, do you?
Oh, I did. I think my girlfriend cut them to make like a blanket out of them, but it's on there. So I do have that one, which I'm happy about now.
TNA merchandise, man. There was nothing. Don West just made you want to buy more.
He always did. That brown bag special they used to have was nice though. It'd be like $20 to get the two. What was it? A shirt, the banner.
DVDs, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Man, Don West.
You just didn't know what you were getting.
The king.
Yep.
So Sting is talking about he shows, after he says he's not clear to wrestle, he shows footage of Hogan attacking him with a chair and says, "I think you're okay." And Bischoff then cuts Sting off to where Sting just punches Bischoff again with no care for anything.
Just completely knocks his ass out like it's nothing. Bischoff didn't really say anything a note. He just kind of yelled at him, but like that could have been the thing that they built towards, where like Hogan really wants to whoop Sting's ass now because Bischoff got laid out.
But Hogan does say that Sting still got, or Sting says that Hogan still got it, and the Bound for Glory is still happening. So we are confirmed. Was it the main event of Bound for Glory?
No, Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode was the main event, because I remember you bought this pay-per-view and I came over to watch Kurt Angle cheat in the main event of their WrestleMania, and the heel went over to
Oh
retain.
yeah, and Bobby Roode was having such a good push.
Yep, and then they just switched it to James Storm real quick, like the Impact after. Oh, TNA.
Yeah, that was the time to have Bobby Roode like get it. Like he obviously turned out fine, but it would
Right,
have been such a good moment.
right. Luckily, it worked out for him, and it worked out for James Storm, for his TNA run. But one of the things I think that would be cool to cover at some point, we'll announce it a little bit later. But Robert Roode and James Storm at Bound for Glory 2012 was an excellent match. They had with King Mo as the special enforcer.
Didn't even know that happened, honestly.
I'm pretty
Thinking back,
sure
like I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got that pay-per-view as well, but I don't know why I remember that match like it was fucking awesome for no reason, but
That's well, Bound for Glory is always usually like the week or the week after my birthday,
right,
so that was always like the thing. Like
right.
we were getting pizza and we were watching Bound for Glory.
Love it. The only
Man,
two, yeah, one of 2,000 people that were buying the pay-per-views at that point.
me, you, Chase Oliver, probably a couple others. Jimmy was probably there for one of them.
Yeah,
I
he
feel
was
like.
there because we got Victory Road 2010. I remember because that was I don't remember anything from that show other than the machine guns and beer money.
Oh my God, such an amazing
Yep,
match.
yep.
One of the best tag matches I may have ever seen, honestly.
Man, yeah, their whole feud was incredible.
I I'm just such a mark for fucking the Motor City Machine Guns and beer money. So
yep. We can only hope that if Bobby Roode ever leaves WWE, he goes to TNA and reforms beer money with James Storm.
I just love that they would stop in the middle of the match and just yell beer money.
Money.
The best and the fucking beer cart, the little
Yes.
cooler is the
Yes.
best.
What a gimmick. None of that happened at Bound for Glory, sadly. No beer money sightings. I don't think the machine guns were on here either.
Oh, that's a
Um,
crime.
yeah, damn shame. But we do get the biggest match in the history of WCW, Sting versus Hollywood Hogan, or Hulk Hogan as he is now.
Yes, and I remember watching this live, and there was a lot of drama there. Like that,
There
you
was.
definitely had a big fight feel for it.
Right.
There's a lot of stakes, but looking back on it, it just didn't feel the same.
No, I remember when we sat down and watched that, it was like, hey, this match was actually not as bad as I was expecting. Like there was some entertainment value. And then I went back and watched it a second time, like this was years ago, and I'm like, this really wasn't that bad. And I sat down and watched it for this episode. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I expected it to be. To a point.
I had the almost exact same feelings. Like I've definitely seen this match probably twice before this, and
Right.
both times I was like, "Oh yeah, like this isn't bad. Like this isn't a good wrestling match, but you're getting something good out of it."
Right.
And I think you still do after the match,
Right.
but like
Absolutely.
this was just I don't know, even that felt like not maybe just cuz we've seen it, but
Right.
I don't know. There was
There
something like that wasn't at pulled me in as much.
Right. And I think maybe the structure of this match with really just the fact that Hogan got the heat immediately, then Sting made a comeback and won. Not to
Mhm.
spoil it because we're going to get into it more in depth, but it was like there was no real structure to it because Hogan couldn't bump.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely a bad spot to put both of these guys in because Sting's gonna carry this guy at like 50,
Right.
and Hogan can't move or bump. So like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Uh,
We get I do have fashion watch, and these are actually important to the match for once. It's not just cool things that they're wearing. Hogan gets a huge fucking pop. He's wearing a white Impact cutoff, like Impact Wrestling cutoff, not a Hogan shirt, and a red bandana, which I think is nice foreshadowing where he's dressed like the baby face here.
mhm.
Wearing all white, the white, but he also has his fists taped and he's wearing jeans. But he made the bold choice of having red knee pads over top of his jeans.
Yeah, that is a choice. I mean, that's something. But Sting is just in his normal like gear. I mean, is he still the Joker face paint at this point?
Yes, he still has the Joker face paint. He has the red and black robe with the Hulkamania yellow T-shirt. But you know what he has that I noticed that he was wearing? He has his tights on, but they have the lightning bolts up and down on them, and they're like Hollywood Hogan's tights from back in the
Hmm,
day. And I
that's
was
kind of
like,
crazy.
yeah, I'm like, that's really cool. Like, if this wasn't just a coincidence, like that is really good storytelling.
Hmm, I didn't even catch that. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, the second time around I caught it, but the Dixie Carter is in the crowd, and the referee is Jackson James, otherwise known as Garrett Bischoff, the son of Eric.
The son of Eric, yes, because of course he would have to referee this match.
Yes, the
You
deck
can't
is
have
stacked.
what's it called? Slick Johnson. Can't have him out here in his
No,
shorts.
this is a big match. You need the son of Eric Bischoff, and the deck is stacked against Hogan now, or against Sting, I should say. Um,
Yes. Yeah, Bish's son's the ref, and as they start to circle with the match starting, Hogan calls out Ric Flair. So you know
yes,
we got the legend himself out here at ringside now,
no,
and then we kind of start the match from there after Rick has arrived.
yes, and what do they start this heated rivalry like this match that's been building for months? You know what they start it with? A headlock.
A long headlock too, like not just like a
Yes.
5 second and throw him off. We
No,
really,
about a 30 seconds.
yeah, he's really working over the head right there.
He really is, and no tests of strength, which I had expected, from a Hogan match. But the best part of this match, I would say, was Hogan hits the shoulder block finally out after getting out of the headlock, grabs his bandana with great velocity, fires it at Sting, and then begins posing, and the crowd loses their shit.
Yes, he just flexes. Anytime you flex in someone's face, you get more over with the crowd. It's just like throwing bitch at the end of your like punchline in the promo. Just gets
Right.
you more over.
It does. And Hogan was showing that is the only part of this match that gave me vibes of Hogan and The Rock. That's the only
Hmm.
part. But like that whole thing with the reaction to Hogan, like he knew the exact right time when to do it. But then that's the peak of the actual match, though.
Well, he also hit a crotch chop too, which was great. He channeled his inner
True.
DX.
That's
And
true. I forgot about that.
he hit the crotch chop, and Hogan takes control here and hits a clothesline, a very bad clothesline, and then
Yep.
crotch chops like 4 more times. Like he's just throwing them out there, which was great. And he also did one of the best moves in wrestling, the back rake.
Yes, I did forget about the back rake. I'm a big fan of that. He followed it up with an eye rake, but I'm all about the back rake.
Yes, if you think about it, it's a terrible move to do to somebody. If you have like say Hogan, he was preparing to use that move
Yep.
for weeks and he hadn't cut his fingernails, he's coming away with some skin. You're gonna
Oh
bleed from the
man.
back. What a
See,
vicious move.
it's a heel thing to do. Like, it's so underrated. And I think I remember telling Chase Oliver, our buddy, that during a battle royal that he was supposed to be in, that he should just go around doing the back rake to people. Like, that's all you have to do there.
It would really catch everyone off guard too. Wouldn't have scouted it. But so Hogan also uses the crotch chop or the double hand chop to the throat in this match too, which is fucking he's evolving.
Yep.
So
His move set has evolved. He even flicked a jab during the match. Like I've never seen Hogan throw a jab before, but it wasn't bad.
he's evolving at 57 or whatever he is at this
Yep.
point. So we end up with Sting being thrown to the outside where Flair chokes him and hits some chops against the barricade, which
Yes,
the
Flair
crowd
chokes him.
loved.
Yeah, it was right in front of Dixie Carter too, which is a nice thing of storytelling. Like, hey, Dixie, you're not going to get your company back because Ric Flair is busy chopping the shit out of Sting. But
Oh my god, it's amazing. And then Flair somehow produces a spike that they are going to stab Sting in the head with multiple times.
yeah, what was that, a spike or what the hell was that?
That's what TNA sold it as. He said that's some
Uh,
kind of spike or something. So they did that. They hit him a couple times and threw him into the barricade, and
hit him with
that's
some
where
low
Sting.
blows.
And then that's where Sting starts bleeding and everything.
Yep.
So and Hogan does a very bad Ric Flair strut through the ring at this time.
He does. It was 4 out of 10 not impressed with your Flair strut, brother.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't good. It wasn't even Jeff Jarrett level strutting.
no, it was not. Jeff Jarrett gets, Jackie Fargo would get a 10 out of 10, I guess. Flair would get a 10 out of 10. Jeff Jarrett's like a 7 out of 10.
Mhm.
And then Hogan would be down below.
Hogan's down there. So what else happens here? This is where Sting finally gets his little babyface fire and gets Hogan to bump twice from punches.
I lost my shit. The first Hogan bump was so gentle, like it looked like somebody in their first, like that took their first bump ever, like just the way he fell. But the second one was better. It was like he realized, okay, I could bump without my back shattering. I'll do it again.
Hmm. Yeah, and then Sting makes his way out to Flair and gets the spike from him and hits Hogan in the head. So now we got two
Yep.
men all bloody up in here. Hogan has bladed, and Sting gets him in the corner to hit some stinger splashes. Also decks Flair on the
Yep.
outside.
Flair surprisingly has not bladed yet, despite getting beat up.
So disappointing that he didn't.
Yeah, I don't think we got a Flair blade job at all in this show.
No, very disappointing. Very
Yeah,
disappointing.
you hate to see it. Tough scene.
And so Sting hits his two stinger splashes, takes Flair out with like a right hook, and puts the deathlock on Hogan, and Hogan just taps.
Yep. And they act like Garrett Bischoff acts like he's not going to call for the bell, but then he does. I thought for sure that something was going to happen, like Flair was going to break it up, or like I couldn't remember how this match went. And I'm like, oh my god, he just makes the comeback and wins.
Yeah, in your head you're thinking that, it's gonna be like some kind of like three run-ins, Sting's gonna get
Right.
help from somebody, and then he'll like, hit the deathlock or whatever, and
Right.
and then we go home. But nope, we just go home.
Yeah, I was very disappointed by this match where I thought, because I had great memories from it and I still have great memories for what happened after the match, but currently, it's not quite as good as I expected.
I mean, it's not as bad as like Sid Justice and Hogan or anything,
No.
but the payoff here is not the match. The payoff for this whole show is, well, it should have been Bobby Roode being crowned the champion, but that didn't happen either,
No.
because why can we can't have nice things. So the payoff for this whole night is what happens after the Sting and Hogan match, which is Immortal coming down to the ring after Flair attacks Sting,
Mhm.
and they, Immortal is out here beating the shit out of Sting pretty much.
They get him with some nice chair shots too. Like Bully Ray and Gunner both lay it in. Gunner is enjoying his moment. Like he's already beaten Sting once, so why don't you just beat him down again?
Why not? Why don't we have him pin him a couple more times? Really
like,
get Gunner over.
It's like Bob Holly. Why don't you just give me the belt and then I beat everybody?
You remember Gunner? Didn't he come in as the security?
Yeah,
For
Gunner
somebody.
and oh god, I forget
Murphy.
who the other guy was. Murphy, not Buddy Murphy.
No,
another
not
Murphy that I don't remember.
generic Murphy, security
Yes.
Murphy. But God, what a come up for Gunner though.
Yeah.
He came in as a security guard. He ends up pinning Sting.
Yep. And then it serves as Immortals heavy. Abyss watches this beat down, by the way, from the corridor. Like he's not like from the entrance.
That was so
I didn't
weird.
get that.
I didn't
Yeah.
understand. Maybe he was kicked out of Immortal or something.
Yeah, I'll have to do some more research as to what happened there because that was just strange. I think he was on the rocks with them for losing the X Division title. I think he did that at that Destination X because they gave it to him because they didn't want all of the, you know, flippy guys to have it. So maybe that's kind of the result of it, but I don't know for sure.
I was just in my mind fantasy booking this is like after all this was happening and like, Hogan obviously turns and they clear the ring. What if you just set up the next like villain by having them in the rafters?
Oh wow.
Like as the cliffhanger, like you just like if this was the end of the night because you don't
Yeah.
have, the main event. Like say this was the main event and you just have like I don't even know who it would be though. I mean,
Christopher Daniels, just because
the
I'm a
higher
Daniels
power.
mark, the higher
Yeah,
power
like
himself.
it just comes up and he's just sitting in the rafters. Or like there's like three or four guys like the
Yeah,
next group.
aces and eights.
Yes. Oh, they could have all just been sitting up there riding motorcycles in the rafters. Like Evil Knievel.
Oh Lord. Gosh. Back to this, like the moment of the night. Sting is getting really beat down. Eric Bischoff, it comes down with a chair and he goes to hit Sting with it, but Garrett Bischoff, his son,
Grabs it.
grabs the chair. So he's like, "No, Dad, you can't do this." So Eric Bischoff takes the chair and hits his own son in the back with it.
And Tanay sells it. He's like, he just hit his own son. Like this doesn't happen at the Bischoff house all the time. Like how they settle arguments. He's like, "Come here, Garrett. I'm gonna hit you in the back of this chair."
Oh God! I mean, listen, if Shane and Vince could do it, and Shane
Hmm.
could repeatedly give his father a black eye, Garrett could take one to the shoulders.
If Vince McMahon can sick his greatest weapon, the Undertaker, on his son and make him throw him off a cell, or will not throw him off, make him sacrifice his body off a
Yep.
cell. I mean, we can have Bischoff hit his son in the back with a chair.
Yep. So, I mean, it is still a very cool heel moment, though,
Hmm.
which is a nice little payoff. And it makes sense, too, because he allowed Hogan to tap out. He didn't just not ring the bell. But we get loud Hogan chants as Flair works over Sting, and Steiner hits, like, this vicious chair shot to the back where he's, like, completely laying that shit in. And it
Of
looked
course.
great. So, Scott, we didn't get a Scott Steiner promo during this episode, which upset me.
Yeah, that is upsetting. And this is like Hogan's slowly getting to his feet. Like he's all bloody and fucked up at this
Yeah.
point. And he's in the
Yeah,
opposite corner of where like this beatdown is happening.
right. And this was a cool moment where Sting was on the ground and he was crawling towards Hogan and he's like,
Hmm.
"Help me, Hulk, help me." And then like the way they're like a pack of hyenas where they just dragged him back into the center of the ring and beating him down. Like really fucking cool moment. It made this whole storyline worthwhile was the temptation of Hulk Hogan.
And the second time where he starts crawling back to Hogan, I believe it happened twice, right?
Yes.
And he says like, "Help me, help you," and the camera like catches it and everything, which was cool because
Yeah.
the announcers are like, he's telling him, he's saying, "Help me, help you," whatever. And then Hogan starts doing the
Yep.
stereotypical Hulk Hogan move where he looks at the crowd and starts shaking his hair and he's like, "What do I do?" He's asking for guidance. And
Yeah, it's like Hulk
the
Hogan
pay
has finally grown up.
the payoff is coming right now. Like
Yes.
it is all hit a fever pitch. And
Oh
Hogan
man.
Hogan stands up and he flexes in Immortal's face, which is what you got to
Rips
do.
off. Yep, rips off the shirt, is covered with blood, like he's freaking the fuck out. And when he tears that shirt, there is a momentous pop, like just an absolutely huge pop, like probably the loudest of the night, like at that point, and probably the loudest of the night in general. Holy shit, what a pop.
Yeah, they go crazy. He rips the shirt off and he like, he does his flex and then he puts his hands up and everybody Immortal is like staring at him in disbelief. And then Sting stands back up for an
Yep.
equally great moment because the
Yep.
Sting fucking chest pound is like my favorite thing.
Yep. Oh God! Like they were bumping and feeding for Hogan. Like immediately they knew, oh my God, he's a baby face. Beat him up. So like Flair's like, I know this all too well. Like I got to get my ass beat now. So he bumps. Sting beats his chest, and the crowd loses it again. Taz yells, "What's going on?"
Taz is everybody at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, the Sting screaming and beating his chest just like got a second pop, and then they started going 2-on-1 on each person, which was
Yep.
amazing. And
Yep.
they have to fight him off. And once they clear the ring of the wrestlers, Bischoff is still there. The poor
Yes.
bastard.
He sells it perfectly. He's just cowering in the corner, like the sniveling little manipulative dude that he is, like in the storyline. And Hogan picks him up, winds up, does like the bolo thing, like where he's like waving his arm around like that, and then just decks him, knocks him out with one punch.
Yep, he does the wind up punch there
Yep.
to KO him, and Sting then starts to do the Hulkamania ear thing.
Yep.
And that's where do they pose together?
Yes, because Garrett Bischoff raises Hulk Hogan's hand despite the fact that he lost the match in the company.
He raise both of their hands?
No,
Or
he just
Hulk's?
raised Hogan's hand and Hogan raised Sting's hand.
Oh, okay. Well, that's at least a little bit better.
Yeah, he's
but
putting
then,
over the young up and comer.
Yes, he is. So you get the poses, you get to the ears to the crowd, the good old Hogan stuff.
Yep.
It's like WrestleMania with the Ultimate Warrior all over again when he saved him from Sid Justice. We're just getting the flex off real quick. And Hogan and Sting shake hands, and all the world's evil leaves, and everything is good in the world again.
True. And then like the build to like the little story arc thing, like the build that you learn in every 6th grade English class, where like you have the climax and then down afterwards you have like the afterword or whatever. We get like a epilogue here. We get one last segment here explaining everything and tying up all the loose ends, which I really appreciated. Joker Sting is now dead. Long live Joker Sting. He explains that they're in the impact zone again. Sting is wearing no face paint, and he has the Immortal shirt on as well, like the Hogan one. And he's appearing normal again. And Sting recalls his mission to return the company to its rightful owner and bring back the real Hulk Hogan, and explains his Joker Sting thing by saying that he had to, quote, step out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. Yeah, that's how he explains all the Joker Sting stuff.
And Hogan says Sting says Hogan did the right thing for the fans and the wrestlers, which yes, he did. I don't think he turned heel again after this in TNA, so that was good. Because we have to turn Dixie Carter heel instead.
Absolutely. And no, Brooke Hogan never turned heel, but he became a heel by bringing in Brooke Hogan.
Mm-hmm. Not on camera, just in the hearts of all wrestling fans. And so out comes Hogan here. He's got the red and yellow, and everybody's happy to see him. And he says he was wrong for the last year and a half, and that Bish had helped him in a tough time, but it went too far, and Eric was in the wrong. And Hogan, this is great that Hogan puts over Sting like this.
Yep.
Too, because he calls Sting a true leader and an American icon. He should have a statue right in there in Washington with everybody else.
Oh my God! I would pay money to have Sting dressed up like Sting, his face paint and everything, and be revealed as a statue like he was with Seth Rollins.
Amazing. That was the pop on that segment was ridiculous. I watched that like a month ago when they lifted up, and the best is that Triple H is like presenting it, and he comes out and he's like, "Oh no, it's Sting." Oh, it's such a great time. And then
Yes.
Seth Rollins almost killed him.
Yep. R.I.P. Sting's neck. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Hogan, he ends up, I love that he put over that he felt insecure because of what happened, and then he said he became a follower instead of a leader, and then Bischoff had helped him out. So like it made sense as to why he was corrupted, but that all didn't mean anything. He finally turned face again after Sting beat the hell out of him, and he's like, you know what? I think I understand
Mm-hmm.
why, what to do now. So it was a good promo explaining what he had become, and he had to put a stop to it.
Yeah, and he kind of just ends it with, I mean, the crowd loves the Hogan Sting alliance here,
Yes.
and Hogan ends it with saying that he loves Sting and he respects Sting, and like thanks him for making him see the light. So, yeah, it was a nice little like, afterward chapter there in the storyline.
Right. Yeah, it was a nice way to end it. And I'm glad that nobody else interrupted it, like Bischoff didn't come out and like they just let it breathe and let the wrestling fans have a very happy ending to this wild storyline.
Yeah.
Wild.
So all in all, what are your feelings about the storyline and Joker Sting?
I feel as if they did not need to make Joker Sting a Joker. Like he could have just lost his mind and did some other way. But for the sake of review, I am glad that it happened. I'm glad that we had the Hulk Hogan moment where he turned face and then Sting beat his chest and everything. Like that
Mm.
was fucking awesome. Like I remember us watching that live and freaking out. Like is he really gonna do it? And then he ripped the shirt and everybody lost their shit. But
Yeah.
so fond memories there, even though the match was horrible.
There's
Um,
just there's just something about Hogan, man. He gets the
yeah,
emotion out of people.
yeah. No matter how troubled his personal life is, and despite my real life feelings towards him, it's like Jerry Lawler, where like when Jerry Lawler pulls down the strap, like all of a sudden he's a baby face despite all that he's done. Like it's like Hogan, every time he rips that t-shirt, it's like, oh shit, it's going down.
It's like when Kurt Angle gets put through an announce table and gets up and then just screams. He becomes babyface. It just happens.
Yep.
Or if he headbutts somebody and scream. Anytime he screams and throws the straps down, he becomes a face to me.
Yes. No matter what your disposition is, there's some things that you do that just make you a baby face.
Yeah,
Or make you a
anytime you
heel.
flex and scream into someone's face, you just become a baby face. Just the way it is.
Right. Brock Lesnar saying Suplex City turned him babyface for a while as well. That's all he had to do. But
Yep.
yeah. So what were your thoughts here?
So my favorite things about this whole thing was, uh, it was a very short thing, but Anderson impersonating Sting was fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking back through this here. Um, I love the Hogan and Sting confrontation in the office where he goes
Yeah.
crazy. The um, I didn't like the Hogan or the Sting and Bischoff in the ring where he just punched him like really early.
Yeah, that was bad.
But I did like all the funny things Hogan said, like the Marco Polo come and go thing.
1, 2, what he said. What was the last one?
3
1,
and
2,
only.
3 and only. Yep. Okay.
But the Immortal meeting was hilarious.
Yep.
And the clowns. I love the clown idea. And the
Yep.
fact that it was revealed that one of the clowns was Kurt Angle was just amazing.
Just for him to turn heel later. That's just perfect.
So
I love
stupid.
it. Love
so
it.
stupid there.
All about it.
But of course, the Sting and Hogan alliance at the end of Bound for Glory is the highlight. But man, the clown thing, I was happy to see that.
I like I said earlier in the episode, I originally felt like the first time I watched this, I'm like, man, this really sucked. Like I think I was just in a bad mood too, so I'm like, wow, I don't know how I can get through this. And then I watched it a second time to take notes, and I'm like, man, you know what? This was pretty funny. And then the third time talking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm glad that we did this because this was a hell of a time, and we got a 2-hour podcast out of this.
I'm glad that somebody recommended this. I'm sure we would have got to it, but I'm glad that we got to it as quick as we did.
Yes, shout out to Leslie Jackson for that, man. He did a great job there. Really, really like nice job with recommending that. And plus, he said that he didn't have any questions about it, but just call it how we saw it. Can't wait to listen. So,
And
shout out to him.
oh yeah, we called it like we saw it. So I mean,
Good stuff.
it was a good time, and
Yep.
we also got to say that we have been getting some more downloads recently, and a lot of
Yeah.
that is because of TNA. So the first time in history, TNA equals ratings. So
Yeah, I mean, for every download we get, we're so grateful for it, and we can't believe, like I said, we can't believe that TNA is such a draw compared to some of these Attitude Era things. But I
I'm
love
happy
it.
it is though.
Yep.
I love TNA, man. Love the glory days of TNA.
And we're not done with TNA just yet, brother.
No, because we got the best of Rockstar Spud coming up in 2 weeks, and that is going to be a treat.
Yes, I'm excited for that. We have not recorded it yet, but I'm very happy to do this. But we have a Worst of Wrestling coming up as well. One that I enjoyed watching. Maybe it was probably my favorite Worst of Wrestling that we've done, other than the APA Invitational. We got Undertaker versus Goldberg for the first time, last time, only time at Super Showdown 20 shit. I forgot the year. 2019, I think.
19,
Yep,
yeah.
that was 2019.
Very
Okay.
recent.
Yep. What a match. What a match.
Not as bad as I thought it would be.
No, I was surprised. In September 30th, we have Batista versus the Great Khali at SummerSlam 2007.
Yes, yes. What a not good match. That's the only way I could put that, because man, is that bad. But what let's see. It does get spooky here. We did a good job with October, because you get Claire Lynch. What could be scarier than that storyline?
Oh man, we're staying with TNA for a while, folks. And yeah, we might as well reveal all of the October ones, because with
Yeah,
our
dude.
Worst wrestling, more spooky stuff.
Mhm.
We got Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, the spookiest thing. We're venturing into modern day wrestling. How wild is
Yeah,
that?
it is kind of
2019,
scary.
Hell in a
Uh,
Cell.
what else do we have there in October? We have the Broken Hardys in TNA in the
Oof.
final deletion, which is some kind of either I don't know. This is some kind of like lucid dream that we're in with that. But we end near October 28th. We're set for a Worst of Wrestling with Bray Wyatt again. But this time
Yes.
it's the House of Horrors, because it's fucking Halloween, so it's gonna get spooky up in there. The
Oh,
House of
I'm
Horrors
excited.
between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton.
And I'll tell you what, we haven't recorded any of those episodes at this time, but I'm excited for those, especially the Broken Hardys one, because I remember being obsessed with the video before the final deletion, like where they threw the fake baby. Like I was obsessed with that fucking video.
That was and that's the one where he's playing the fucking piano at the beginning.
Yep.
And he's just like, Brother Nero. Oh, that's
Oh
gonna be so much
Lord.
fun.
Yeah, it might end up being our favorite episode yet. And this one is one of my favorites, really. I didn't expect it to be, but I think I really enjoyed this one.
I'm a Sting Mark. He might be in my top 5 all time.
The Fave
Honestly,
Five, as Booker T would say.
Fave 5, man. Ooh, we're gonna have to reveal ours at some point. We'll have to think about it.
Yes. Chase Oliver will probably be number one in both of those, though.
Nope,
Out of
hate
bias.
him. No, I'm just kidding. No, and I think we're gonna hopefully have him on here soon. We keep saying that, but
Yep.
this man is out here working out like crazy. As somebody put on Twitter when
Yep.
he came back for his match, it looked like Chase Oliver ate Chase Oliver.
Yeah. He legitimately looks like Pac now.
Yeah, he's out
Pac.
here.
I don't know.
He,
Neville.
he's out here working hard, so he's got the busy schedule, and
Yep.
we're all getting kind of busier. This is the first time we have done a show the day before it comes out in a while, because now
Yep.
everything's getting crazy again.
Yeah,
So
it is. Like this has been a wild time. It took a while to be able to sit down and record this, but nice break from everything to be able to sit down and talk about this.
Oh, of course. So next week we will be back with what the hell was it? You said Goldberg and
The
Undertaker.
Undertaker, yes.
Oh, of course. You got it. The two of the biggest draws of all time, and I just forget, what's going on there.
Right.
But so for now, follow the socials, Stranger Rings Pod on Instagram, Stranger Rings 1 on Twitter. We have a Facebook page. I don't think anybody cares about Facebook anymore. But it's just Stranger Rings Podcast. Anything you want to see from us, we're always open to suggestions. We'll slide it up in there on the schedule. Anything else before I drop Sting's catchphrase to lead us out?
Check out the Monday Night Chores podcast. We're going to be doing a little bit of something with them. Actually, once we're done with this recording, we got it. But check them out. They do a nice job of picking which Monday night, like they watched the first ever episode of Nitro and the Raw that was head to head, and they're picking which one was better. So
a beautiful concept.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. And I wish them luck. They did a really nice job with their first episode. I got to check out the remainder of them, but give them a listen, give them a download. And
for sure. Yeah, I'm ready. I'll have to hear one of those. Got to throw it in the podcast app. But until next week, as Joker Sting would say, ta-ta for now.